All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of Real Talk. And today I am joined by my co-host, Bjorn Leines. How you doing, Bjorn?
Doing pretty good,
I'm
man.
doing
How are you?
well, waiting for some snow here in Colorado, but I think it's actually coming now, so I hope. And we also have the realist, Chad Otterstrom. How you doing, Chad?
Great, the time of my life. We finally have a semi base, so we're
Well, I'm
moving.
trying to figure out when the time of your life is because every time we do real talk, it's like the best time of your life. And so I'm trying to figure out which one is the best one. I don't know. Maybe you could fill me in on that at some point.
Just kind of my go to when people say, "How are you
Right,
doing?"
right.
When the lifty's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Time of my
Yeah. And
life."
they're like, really?
So,
Today? Really?
As an observer of Chad's life, I would say he's always having the time of his
I,
life. Just simply looking at his social media and knowing Chad, it looks like every day truly is the
I
time of
know.
his
If I
life.
didn't know any better, I would say that Chad is the best snowboarder in the world.
I
I think
concur.
so. I think it could be true. What do you have to say to defend yourself, Chad? Are you the best?
I'm totally defending myself. No, I'm definitely not the best snowboarder in the world. That would be Terry A. Hawkinson. But I have a good time and I snowboard every day. So
Well, you
there you
certainly
go.
look like you're having a
Something
good
like
time. So, what have you been up to lately, Bjorn? Have you been riding POW? Have you gotten any base in Utah? What's going on?
We just got a big storm here a few days ago, about 20 inches, which is epic to finally just see
Mm-hmm.
snow again. I was mainly riding. I was riding Woodward a lot actually, which is super fun. Woodward Park City, some cruisers at Snowbird, some cruisers at Brighton, and just a little bit of splitboarding. It's been so shallow. So now we got some more snow, and it's now it's super dangerous. So it's kind of stepping out slowly. We're going for a mission tomorrow. So yeah, avalanche danger is high. So it's
Tiptoe around.
it,
Yep.
exactly.
Okay, what have you been up to, Chad? Have you been riding a lot?
Um, I went to Minnesota the last couple of days just to hang out with my
Okay.
family, and then but before then, yeah, we did some Vale shredding, and Vale has snow, but it's straight to the ground. But luckily, there's not a lot of rocks there, so we did a couple East Vale laps, and I feel like it was. I keep saying it, but it was felt like my first POW day of the year just
I
last
mean, how
week in
much
Vale,
POW is
which was
that? What is
awesome.
a POW day, first POW day of the year? What does that look like?
Well, when you land a cliff and you don't feel the bottom, it's kind of like
Okay, so
about
some
it,
base.
you know. Until you don't feel the bottom, then it's not a pow day really yet.
Right. Okay. So have you guys been following what's been going on with snowboarding in the last couple of weeks between the Lax Open, X Games happening this week, and then, the natural selection next week? Have you guys been following kind of the unfolding events that are going on?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah,
Cool. Because I have
things are unfolding.
They certainly are evolving. And so I would say that this show, now, by the way, if you're listening to this on audio, you're probably going to want to tune into the video because this is a little bit video centric, at least the show that I have planned for you today. So we're going to start with the clip show. I have 5 clips of entertainment, and then we're going to get into clips of the Lax Open. We're going to do a little review there. And then we'll get into the natural selection wild cards and watch those videos and make some assessments on the wild cards for the Lax Open. But before we get started with all of that, let's go to the clip show. And so we're going to try to describe these, and we're going to start out with some entertaining clips, something here to keep you guys a little bit entertained. So here is our first clip for clip show.
Wow, you got this snowboarder just cutting right through a couple skiers on what looks to be like an East Coast run. So he can get to some side hit, which is literally a log laying there that he clips on his nose and flies forward on
Yeah, I
his
mean, I think
sides.
he clipped a skier coming across. He's like trying to cut between 2 skiers, clips the skier, and gets thrown off, and this like center punches the log and just goes flying into the woods.
True. It's I mean, I don't really even know what he's trying to do, but I mean, good for him for not hitting the skier, but he definitely scared her
Yeah.
or him.
Do you get a lot of close calls
He's got
at the
that quick.
stage
What
there,
was
Chad? Because I know that you're in the land of the gaper. So, like, do you have a lot of run-ins with recreational skiers?
I quit doing that a while back, but we used to. I basically go up at 9, hike a park railer, or jump till 11, and then I leave and I keep my head down and stay away because it is what you hear about. It's basically you're looking left and right at all times, all the way down the hill. You know, you're doing what this guy does on an average day at noon there. So, except for you get lift ticket pulled immediately if you did what he did.
Right. Okay, well, let's go to our next clip. So this is just your classic coming up short scorpion, coming up short on rotation, coming up short on making the landing, and just goes right into a scorpion. This is just for your entertainment purposes. When was the last time you had a good scorpion, Bjorn?
Yeah.
Pretty much every time I snowboard. If I don't, eat it really hard every time I snowboard, it's like, what's the point? What am I doing out
Right.
there?
If you're not crashing, you're not trying hard enough, something like that.
Something like that. I mean, this guy, he's just messed up from the takeoff. He's going too slow. He's on a park jump, and he doesn't try to grab his board, and he's just spinning like a top. Lands completely 90 on his toe edge, and I got to laugh because, I've had similar landings like that before.
Well, on the plus side, at least the jump is well marked.
Correct.
There's not really a plus side.
Good thing they're marketing.
Always try to look on the bright side.
I didn't. Yeah, I saw a scorpion like a month ago. I was splitboarding with one of my female friends, and she dropped in, and I didn't really realize she wasn't ready for some whatever you call it, just different styles of snowpack on the way down, and hooked an edge and full on face planted, and just like
Did you
this.
come to the rescue?
But, yeah, for sure. I came and I tried. I was like, "You all right?" And she's
Did
like,
you unstrap her bindings and offer to carry your board down the hill?
"No, we rode. We just rode the rest of the hill."
I know you're a gentleman, so I figured you would, offer the assist.
When conditions changed, well, then I made her hike up another hill, and then she's like, "Screw this, I'm over it," and like unstrapped and walked down a powder field.
That's a bad look, even for a hot chick. Just saying. Okay, next clip. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is where the pain cave starts. This guy's trying 50-50, just a kinked rail. He comes off the kink, airs, and then he lands on a little donkey right on the end on his it looks like a spleen rupture. I'm not sure. What do you make of this one, Chad?
I think he was okay because if you look at the one angle from down low, he lands and he immediately goes to unstrap his bindings like he's chilling.
Thing I noticed too is he's like Superman on the getting out of his bindings. Maybe he's just in shock and pain from completely bodying himself on the bottom of that rail.
I'm thinking is the shock is just he's just like, okay, I'm gonna hike back up, and then all of a sudden 10 seconds later he's like can't breathe.
Yeah.
This is where a helmet is not going to help you on the streets.
Yeah. But I watched Bad News Bears because it was on TV with my dad the other night. But definitely a jockstrap would help, or whatever you want to call them.
A nut cup. That's the new body armor for the streets. It's like, yo, Spencer Schubert, you got your cup today. You guys your cup.
Okay.
That would be epic. Maybe they start making Vans nut cups, just like the whole team.
Well, you are right, Chad. He did go for the unstrap pretty quickly. This guy, I don't think he's as lucky. Check this out.
Oh, for the listeners, this guy literally slides face first into the beginning of a park rail off a park jump. Is it like his shoulder or his neck? What is he? Shoulder, it looks like, right?
What he hits, but there's 2 tubes sticking out about a foot from the rail, and he just catches the two tubes sticking out, and it's brutal. You ever done something like that?
It's clip.
There's like a
I mean, that would be like the kind of crash that would make
No.
you quit snowboarding almost. You're like, oh, I have a 2-inch diameter hole in my shoulder.
So there's that brand, the Impaler, and it's in Columbia Heights in Minnesota, and there's a gap, and there's an Impaler there. So this is sort of an Impaler. Well, that's where the name the Impaler came from. This is a park Impaler.
Yeah, that's handling the park wrong. So now let's go to a little bit of levity for the last clip.
Yeah, can we get a landing? Oh no,
So
no
look,
landing.
just like crashes here. So describe what's happening here.
Dude, what? Homie's in the woods. He's trying to do a log ride across what looks like some sort of a river or a mud hole, really. And he just instantly zeeches and catches his toe edge on a 50-50, dives forward, full scorp face plant into the water. It's that's pretty epic right there.
Yeah, that's a memorable one right there for sure.
The aiming was perfect on that.
So what advice do you have for this rider right here, Chad?
Hook.
How's he going to make it all the way from here to natural selection? What's it going to take?
Hit a bunch of blue groomers for a couple weeks and learn how to snowboard.
First, try to 50-50 with corduroy before you try to 50-50 a log over a moat.
Okay. Now, that's enough of our entertaining clips for the clip show, but I actually did load up a bunch of clips from the Lax Open, which just went down here last week. So did you guys hear anything about the Lax Open?
I heard and saw the half pipe. I didn't see slopestyle, but I saw a little bit of it. But honestly, watching both of them, I really like watching half pipe these days because they're really putting it on the edge.
And you'll see in slopestyle it was pretty edgy as well, or non-edgy because they made it through the runs. But either way, I would say that we have a pretty high level of riding. Now, something happened at the Lax Open, which kind of messed things up for the U.S. team and the Canadian teams, in that there was a positive COVID test, I think, from one of the filmers on the Canadian teams, and one of the U.S. athletes had a positive COVID test, which basically, because of the way they're running these events, is like you go and you stay with your team. You're kind of in this like pod with your team. You're all traveling together. And so basically, all the Canadian team, all the American team got taken out of slopestyle. So, like, there was no Seb Toots, there was no Mark McMorris. They were there, but literally, you know, Tyler Nicholson, they were literally booted up going to the lift, and they just basically got rebuffed and were like, nope, you guys can't compete today. You can't even go up the lift. You guys are out. And so for the slopestyle, it wasn't quite like a full contest, just in that, like, some of the favorites, the Canadians and the American slope riders, weren't able to compete. So that was kind of a bummer, I would say. But
Yeah, I did see that on some of the social media, man. It's, you've got to think about, you know, you saw like Mark McMorris and a bunch of Canadian guys training at COP up in Canada, you know, a couple weeks before and getting ready. And like this year, there's hardly any contests, right? So this was a big contest for.
going to be Marcus Cleveland's third place run right here. So do you want to do some commentary on this, Chad? Take us through this run.
Switch front side, you know, board slide, double crippler. Just sorry, I'm catching up here. Backside 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Front side, it's kind of blurry, to be honest. I'm sorry, but he did an ollie back 9 double there, which is kind of cool. That's kind of his signature.
Yep. And I would say that also, like, just good to see him land a run. He's like always a favorite, like crowd favorite, but to see him land a run, make the podium, it's good to see.
What's cool about him too is he hurt his knee 2 years ago, and he's at the Dew Tour, and now he has come back hitting big jumps again because Marcus Cleveland is a magician.
So this is Leon Folksensberger from Germany, best finish ever at a World Cup. Now, I'm not sure if that's because the Americans and Canadians weren't there. Either way, pretty good run. And this is our winner right here, Nicholas Mattsson, coming out of Sweden.
Front board 450, you know, double crippler. Nicholas Mattsson, backside 12, switch backside potentially 12. It's kind of blurry. Frontside 5, switchback rodeo. Chris Grenier right there. It's his move. So that was pretty sweet. But Nicholas Madsen, I judged him at a Chinese Aaron style like 3-4 years ago. That dude has original moves. It's cool.
When he did the backside rodeo off that last hit, I had the tendency to want to call a dump truck. Now, what's the difference between a dump truck and a backside rodeo?
Yeah. Not much. Maybe just a little bit more dumpy looking.
Right on.
He doesn't look dumpy at all. Homie's pretty dang smooth.
This is Marcus Cleveland for on a second time. And just double cork off that. Nollie double cork. I mean, the dude is sick. Now, here's Leon Folkensberger. Best finish ever in a FIS World Cup, so that's got to feel pretty good. Now, you guys have both competed. What does it do to your mind game to, like, get your first big podium finish at, like, a major event? Does that, like, change the way you approach events afterwards, or is it just kind of like another day, another ride?
I would say it's, you getting some validation there, for yourself. Like, okay, I know I can land on the podium. I know I can land my run. I mean, usually it comes down to actually just landing your run. Most of the time when you're putting your, best run, up against everybody's, it's whoever lands their run and is consistent about it. I mean, that's what I found for me anyways. I was good at landing my run and qualifying and always qualify good, and then not the greatest at putting it down in the finals. Cracking under pressure, I guess, would be the correct term.
Well, you don't have to worry about that now.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah. It's like if you know what place you're going to get if you land your run, you just got to land your run.
Yep. Okay, let's go on to our next clip. So this is Chloe Kim. Now, Chloe Kim came back. She took 2 years off. She was back basically with the same run that won her the gold medal at the Olympics. It won her this event as well.
That's amazing. She just, pieced out, went to college for the last couple. Was it really 2 years? I feel like
2020.
Wow.
About a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Technically, it's 2 years.
At any rate,
February 2018 that she won the gold medal, and she didn't really ride after that. And now it's, almost February 2020. So that's almost 2 years.
Well, Maddie Mastro beat her in the U.S. Open 2 years ago, I believe. Or was it last year? So
2 years ago.
But either way. So that was a year and a half. But I think it's great. I think Carol had a chance because she's got a little diversity. But she just went for a 1080 and fell. If she would have maybe just kind of stuck. Carol actually has an amazing backside 9 that not many girls do, where they do it clean and grab and high. So, but Chloe, she's gonna stick with it.
And like the Japanese men, the Japanese women are pretty dominating actually in the half pipe. In that, 5 of the top 10 from the Lax Open were women from Japan. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they really, basically the entire Japanese team made it to the finals. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, let's go on to our next clip. Now, this is our top American rider in the halfpipe. We did have Americans in the halfpipe. This is Taylor Gold coming out of Steamboat Springs. He was an Olympian in 2010. But, man, he just has such a solid riding style. He had a little skitch there on the heel edge, but I would say this is a pretty amazing run. Aside from the mistake that he makes right there, little washout. But,
you think that's to his advantage there, Judge Chad? He has an all-black kit on with a black base. I mean, every time he's up in the air, it's like, where's that guy? What is he doing a 1080, 1260?
100% no. If you watch Todd Richards in the late 90s, he always had yellow pants on, and he did that for a reason.
Right.
Everybody recognizes you and knows you.
Yeah. I mean, that was a pretty significant victory
No, that's
at the top, and you might have gotten lost in the night sky wearing all black.
He could get some Danny Davis points though. He's got his stylish run where he could get on podiums with that run and kind of beat the rotator run every once in a while, potentially, depending on amplitude and diversity.
Okay, let's go on to this guy. Finished second. This isn't his second place run. This is Scotty James, and I just like watching Scotty ride. He goes huge. and really, brought the switch backside spin to the game. And yeah, I mean, just an incredible half-pipe rider, hard to beat, really.
He's so fluid and solid. Besides being so super technical, obviously. Like, look at us just bolt.
And that's a front 12 at the bottom there. So had he pulled out the front 14, he might have had a different result with the podium. But we had a different winner, and the only guy to ever beat Scotty James in the last year and a half anyway is this guy. This is Yuto Totsuka. He was the winner in the half pipe. Now check out this run.
Dude, I saw this on the gram. Was tripping on this cab double. How huge he's going. Boom.
Yep.
Just an incredible run.
There's always a Yonex Pro. The Yonex Pro is actually making it. He might get I don't know where Yonex comes from or why those guys ride those boards, but I think he should step his board sponsor game up after a couple of these
I
rounds.
think Yonex is a Japanese brand. Yeah, that one is pretty crazy. 312s, a 10, switchback 10, and then a 14 to finish it. That's a pretty crazy run. By anyone's standard. It's hard to even tell, I mean, he's just flipping and spinning like a top.
Yeah, he does a switch frontside 12 or whatever it is to fakie, which is really cool, and then brings that into the switchback double to forward. And it's wild.
Are you guys familiar with Valentino Guselli? You know who he is?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So he actually was in his first World Cup event, and he finished first in qualifiers for the half pipe. Now, he didn't do well in the finals. He crashed in both runs in the finals. But in his first World Cup, he was the top qualifier in the pipe. And I would say it's because he goes big. He also landed a frontside 14. It was the second time he's ever even tried the trick. But I would say that kid at 15 years old is going places. So
100%.
I thought that was...
Yeah, I've seen him around for the last couple of years, actually. We ran into him at, I think it was Woodward Copper. He was there as a mini grom, just destroying it.
I mean, pretty incredible rider. And this is what I found. I actually did an interview with him earlier today. So that'll be coming out, I guess, next week. But he's got his own airbag to train on at home. So that's what it takes today, guys.
It's a
that's
lot.
What it takes.
No more snowboard bum life. You got to have an
no more
airbag.
waiting tables at night. You're going to have an airbag and
Oh, you guys don't have airbags? Oh,
what?
Bro, go with the times. I got an airbag in the backyard. Are you kidding me?
Foam pit for over a decade.
Yeah.
From the sesh.
I guess it just takes a little bit more than I had anticipated to be a pro rider today.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of the natural selection, I noticed that they had some wild cards out there. And I also noticed that Bjorn's wild card was missing from this stack of wild cards. Where was the wild draw 4 of yours, Bjorn? Why weren't you in this wild card submission?
Because I haven't put out enough good content in the last couple of years. Maybe that should be my goal, to make basically the sponsor me video for natural selection for next year.
I'll tell you what, the guys that they have in are pretty amazing, but I would say almost the wild cards are almost more amazing than the riders who are in the event. And that's not to take away from the riders in the event, but when you look at this list of riders who are trying to get in, it's kind of crazy.
It's stacked.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I think the whole thing all the way around is stacked. The guys that already got the invites, and then I was expecting to see a couple of the names that are now on this wild card list on the list. And so now to have them kind of basically be against each other for, what is it, 2 slots? Is that one female, one male, or is it just 2 slots in general? Like, I don't really know how it works. If it's whoever gets the most votes, male or female, is in, or do we have any clarity on that?
Chad?
I don't. I'm not a part of that, but we're gonna find out.
Okay. And you're judging that event,
I
though,
think
right?
it's. I am judging him. but I'm not in charge of who goes in and who goes out. I'm just there to criticize.
So who is the head judge for natural selection?
I believe Sandy McDonald.
Now,
he is. There's three of us. There's Connor Manning, Sandy, and I are the three judges, and Sandy's kind of organizing, running the whole show.
and what kind of judging format are you going to utilize for the natural selection? Because it is kind of a backcountry event. It's not like you can just take the half pipe criteria and slap it onto a backcountry event. How are you going to judge it?
Technically, you kind of can. There's like amplitude, difficulty, execution, and overall impression. So you can kind of still take that same thing, and creativity is going to be huge. And, we basically are going to start out seeding people, just starting out with kind of average scores for average runs and then going up and down from there.
How many runs does each rider take?
I mean, it's going to be the same criteria.
How many runs?
2, I believe.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't want to call myself out on this yet, but I haven't looked into it as much as I should have, because we just got a call being like, "You want to show up?" And we're like, "Yep." And we haven't got any information on that, but Connor and I have been judging for a decade now, so I'm sure once we see the criteria, we will be able to be on point right away.
Right. Okay, so let's look at some of these clips, and then I'm going to ask you guys to make your personal pick for your favorite rider. We're going to look at these runs. There isn't one for John Jackson, who was a wild card submission, but this is solid. To make it into natural selection. I thought riding. I think it's pretty accomplished here. Pretty good.
Yeah, Stale is a G. He didn't grow up riding the POW necessarily, and when I was a Rome teammate with him on Rome, I kind of watched that change. He would come over to the States. He was like 16 years old, just doing 1080s and stuff, and then slowly repped it into the POW. And he's got the capabilities to land, obviously, in powder. I would say maybe a shortcoming would just be more as it relates to a big mountain like cliffs and lines. Haven't necessarily, kind of how you pick your way down the mountain in that natural environment. I think he would excel on the Jackson course because there is, a lot of, kind of manufactured jumps that are natural, I guess.